Hello again! It's me, Ayush Pato from Sync It to Science. Wow, quite some time we haven't met. Online learning itself has too much screen time. Anyway, let's get to the topic. That is the amazing cells of the human body. We are surrounded by many questions like, how does my hand react when my brain tells it to? Or, how injuries in children heal faster than adults? Why does pus come out of the wound I just got? How do I get a fever? How do my white blood cells get recovered after a battle? Why do babies start seeing only after 2 months? If you have these questions, you've come to the right place. And to solve them, we're going to learn about the amazing cells of the human body. Let's begin with the magicians in our body, the amazing stem cells. So why am I calling them magicians? Well, let's proceed to the next slide to find out. Our body has over 200 different types of cells. Almost all of the cells know their function or their jobs to do. For example, white blood cells fight against germs and cancer cells. But what will happen if some cells die in the process? Who will replenish their population? Well, for that, we have the incredible stem cells. They have no specific jobs to do, but when cells die, they modify into the cell type whose population is on decline. In this picture, you can see stem cells can reconstruct into any of these cells. Stem cells come in 3 types. First in the list are the embryonic stem cells. They provide new cells to the embryo. They are pluripotent, meaning that they can evolve into any other type of cell. After that, we have the adult stem cells. Adult stem cells are stem cells found in both children and adults. They form and reside in the bone marrow, where they wait for the time for them to replace dead or injured cells. But they are multipotent, meaning that they can turn into only a limited type of cell. For example, blood stem cells can only turn into any type of blood cell, namely white blood cells, red blood cells, or platelets. They cannot turn into a bone cell, unlike embryonic stem cells, which can turn into any cell. That is why they are also called tissue-specific stem cells. The next category is induced pluripotent stem cells. They are cells which are regular body cells which are reprogrammed in labs to behave like embryonic stem cells. Thus, it makes them pluripotent. Scientists are researching a lot about stem cells because they think it can possibly cure all of these diseases. And stem cells are also used for stem cell therapy, which is injecting pluripotent stem cells into the bone marrow. Now, do you know why wounds in children heal faster than adults? This stunning image that you can see on your screen is of heart cells developed from stem cells in a lab. Can you imagine a heart beating in a petri dish? Oh my, I totally cannot. Moving forward, we have the messengers of the human body, the neurons. Nerve cells, or neurons, carry signals to tell other organs what to do. Okay, for instance, a ball is coming straight at your face. Your brain tells you to lift up your hand and catch it. To relay that message, we use neurons. Some fun facts about neurons. They are the longest and the oldest cells of the body. Their length may vary from a nanometer to a meter. Surprised why I call them the oldest cell? Then listen to this. Once they are born, they never die. They can only die because of an injury. That is why we need to wear a helmet. A baby's brain contains 100 billion neurons. That is equivalent to the number of stars in the Milky Way. Scientists say a baby's sight neuron starts sending messages back and forth to the brain at the time of 2 to 4 months. That is why babies start noticing between 2 to 4 months. The brain removes seldomly used synapses. That is why we tend to forget information that we don't use. And if you exercise your knowledge, then more synapses are formed. Let's talk about their structure. A neuron consists of a cell body, dendrites, and an axon. In general, neurons receive messages from the dendrites and cell body and send them out with the axon. The connection between two neurons is called a synapse. They lack the organelle known as the centriole, which is important for cell division. Hence, they do not multiply or renew except in two special places in the brain, which can give birth to new neurons. There are three types of neurons. First of all, we have the sensory neurons. Sensory neurons are the nerve cells that send signals from sensory organs to the brain. Then we have the motor neurons. They communicate the orders from the brain to the sensory organs. Lastly, we have the interneurons. They communicate the orders to the brain and the motor neurons. For example, you're touching a hot surface. Then your sensory neurons send signals from your fingers to the spinal cord, where interneurons deliver the info to the brain. Then our brain sends orders to the spinal cord once and again, where interneurons convey the orders to the motor neurons, and then you move your hand. Muscle cells are cells which make you move. How, you ask? Well, they rest and contract, enabling you to move a muscle. Muscle cells are classified in three types. Cardiac, which are heart muscles. Cardiac muscles are involuntary muscles. That means they do not need conscious effort to do their function. Skeletal muscles are long and thread-like and multinucleated. They're attached to bones to facilitate voluntary movement. Lastly, we have the smooth muscles. They're found on the walls of many organs. For example, kidney, blood vessels, intestine, lungs, etc. Cardiac and smooth muscles are called myocytes because of their relatively small size. As you can see on your screen, we have the structure of the smooth muscle, the cardiac muscle, and the skeletal muscle. Let's talk about the real transformers, the monocytes. Monocytes are the largest white blood cells. They are almost twice the size of a red blood cell. They have kidney or bean-shaped nuclear envelopes, so they can easily be distinguished in a blood sample from other white blood cells. They are created in the bone marrow and mature in the tissue, and they play an important part in the innate immune system. Monocytes are made of a bilobe nucleus, a cell body, and some cytoplasmic extensions called pseudopodia. Functions of monocytes. At time of war, monocytes morph into dendritic cells and macrophages. The trio have three major functions. Phagocytosis, meaning to eat in Greek. In this process, a cell engulfs a particle and digests it. Antigen presenting. The phagocytes are also called professional antigen presenting cells because the antigen or the identifier protein is planted on top of the outer membrane of the phagocyte. Lastly, we have cytokine release. Cytokines, or messenger proteins, are released from the cell to communicate to other cells, which in turn amplifies the immune response. These are neutrophils. Neutrophils are phagocytes. They attack and kill bacteria, but they immediately die after engulfing a pathogen. That is why you see pus on the wound you just got. That's right. Neutrophils, the bacteria, and other dead cells' corpses is pus. Our bodies have specialized cells to fight and defend us from deadly diseases, but sometimes our body's cells do not have the ability to defeat all the bacteria. So to defeat the enemy, the macrophages release special chemicals called pyrogens. The pyrogens travel to the pituitary gland to meet the hypothalamus gland, and then the hypothalamus raises the body's temperature so it can kill many pathogens. Yes, fever is an immune response. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check out my other videos. Until next time, bye and stay safe.